And today in this video, we'll be talking about another automation testing tool which does empowerment of Playwright with artificial intelligence. So you can run Playwright test using artificial intelligence using this tool, AutoPlaywright. The AutoPlaywright is a free version of the artificial intelligence tool which does the exact same thing that you can do with zero step, but there are some caveat. That is what we'll be discussing in this particular video. Well, the first thing we tell about free version of the artificial intelligence using this particular tool is that you don't really have an zero step kind of payment system or a platform really. All you have to do is you need to use this npm install autoplaywright-d to install this library, and then you need to add the open API key, which is the OpenAI's API key that you need to be adding as an environment variable, and then you need to run the test as we saw in our earlier videos using the zero step as well. Pretty much like how this zero step does the coding using the natural language, that how we do with AI method, we're just going to use a new method called as auto to do the exact same thing as well. That is what is the only change that I have seen with these two coding libraries. And the way that you're going to be doing to obtain this particular OpenAI's API key is that you have to go to the openai.com, and then you got to be logging in, and then you don't really have to have a paid plan, but you need to at least have the OpenAI key. And once you do, then you got to go to the API, and then you need to go to the usage where you can see how many uses that I have done. You can see that I have already done like 4.76% of the usage. I only have like couple of more usage limit that I can really do with this particular usage. Then I don't really have any more top-up money, but you have to actually purchase the credit so that you can really use this particular API key itself. So I got my API key over here. So that is my super secret API key that I have purchased, and you can actually do those billings and stuff from here. So you can go to the billing, and you can see that currently the only balance that I have is this, but you can add the credit balance and do all those things. I have turned off the auto recharge just in case, because if somebody is going to use my API key, then I'm doomed. Right? Cool. So that's all that I have for this particular settings on the OpenAI side of API. And then now I'm going to go all the way here, and I already have my OpenAI's keys and stuff. So all I'm going to do is I am going to write the exact same kind of code using this AutoPlaywright. And again, as I told you, there are some caveat in this particular AutoPlaywright. The main caveat that I have seen is the very slow processing of this particular records and stuff. So you can see that I have written this particular code in the AutoPlaywright way. All I have did is I just added this AutoPlaywright over here, and the latest version is 1.14, and the authors keep bumping up the versions, which is good. And then you have to write the new test.spec.ts file, pretty much like how we did in our earlier videos with the zero step as well, like this coding. And that's exactly what I did. The only change that I have did is when I try to enter the username as admin and the password as the password, I gotta be doing that in two different lines, but here I tried with the same line and it did work. So that is good. And there is one more thing that you can do in this particular AutoPlaywright is that you can actually go to this particular GitHub page, and you can see that you can also use the constant of option where you can specify the model of GPT-4 preview version as well. This is the turbo version that you can use. This turbo version will be a bit faster as it names, but I don't see any difference, to be honest, but it does that for you. So you can do this as well. You can just copy this whole thing, and then you can pass this as an option which can actually does those things for you. So I'm going to show you how it actually works. So basically I'm going to go here, I'm going to add the options here, and I'm just going to say true, or maybe just, I don't really have to say any debugging operation. Just get rid of this. I'm going to set this API key from the environment variable, and I'm going to just use this option over here, something like this. That way it just works fine. Maybe it is going to be faster, and I have never tried it before, so I'm just going to set this all over here. And I'm going to do this over here and here and here. Cool. So everything has been done over here. So I'm going to run this test and see how it actually going to work. So for doing that, I'm just going to say focus terminal over here, and I'm just going to say export open API key and then I'm going to run the test right now. So let's see how it actually going to work. But in order to do that, I'm just going to say npx playwright test of tests slash, I think the new test.spec.ts file. This is the only thing that we have got. And I'm going to specify the browser option as well. So let's see if I have turned on, yeah, headless as false here, which is good. So I think I can just execute it. So you can see that once I do that, the browser is going to open, it's going to navigate to the website pretty much exactly how we expected. And it should ideally click the login button and enter the username and password. So you can see that it is slow. It is definitely slower than zero step because it used to execute much faster in zero step. But you can see that even though we have specified as GPT-4 turbo version, the execution is ridiculously slow. But it does the operation, by the way. But that doesn't mean that this is how the automation testing tool should work. But I have seen that there are some caveat. And I've also seen some caveat like the test just fails as well. It is not very reliable. I think the author is still working on it, or maybe the GPT is not working as expected. But I can see that the functionality is working fine, but not all of them are working as expected. But yeah, so this is how the AutoPlaywright of the new flavor of this particular automation testing tool, pretty much inspired by the zero step, is working with the GPT as well. And most importantly, even though we say it is a free version, there is a caveat here, because even though it is free, you actually need to have OpenAI's API that you need to purchase. So if you don't really have the balance, then it is going to fail. And you can see that currently my balance is going to keep going down because I've already used it. So yeah, that is the other caveat that we have. But yeah, that is the thing about this particular new AutoPlaywright feature. And you can see the author has also given some more detail, like how you can see the difference between the AutoPlaywright versus the zero step itself, which is great because the author itself says that AutoPlaywright actually inspired from the zero step itself. It's a free library. However, the cost associated with the OpenAI, because you have to be purchasing that. And also the author says that the auto function uses the sanitized HTML library before sending it to OpenAI. So this is done to reduce the cost and improve the quality of the generated text, which is great. And I think that is the reason why it is a bit slower compared to the zero step. And the zero step, you can see that there is a comparison as well. So AutoPlaywright uses the OpenAI's API, which zero step doesn't. And it also uses the plain text prompt, which zero step does, to be honest, but the author says no. And it uses the function SDK, which I don't know what it is mean, but yeah, you see that zero step doesn't really uses that. And it uses the HTML standardization, this library, which zero step doesn't. And it uses the Playwright's API as well. And I tried using Playwright APIs even with the zero step as well, and it did work. So you can see that I used the page.wait for, and also some other APIs, and it all worked with the zero step as well. So it does, yes, I guess. And you can take screenshot with zero step, which is not supported with AutoPlaywright. You can also do queue, WebSocket, and you can do so many things like parallelism and scrolling fixtures. All these are supported in zero step, which are all not really supported in AutoFixture. So there are some more caveat with AutoPlaywright as opposed to zero step, not just about the speed, but also about the features in terms. So I think that zero step is quite a good move in terms of using it for the larger organization or larger project. But as that said, I think this is another great move with open source feature really coming in over here. So if a company is going to have probably an inbuilt model, and if you're going to be using that model, so that is going to reduce your cost as well. I'm not sure how the future is going to look like. Not everybody is going to use the OpenAI's GPT model. And if they're going to have their own models in future, then these costs are going to be tremendously reduced. And I'm sure that that's going to be the future, and automation cost using these generative AI models cost is going to reduce further in upcoming days. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know about your thoughts and what do you think about this tool. Talk to you and catch you in the next one.